You're listening to the Awkward High-Five podcast. You can follow along in your book. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this.
Sir?
What?
Are we being too literal?
No, you fool. We're following orders. We were told to comb the desert, so we're combing it.
Found anything yet? Nothing yet, sir. How about you? Not a thing, sir. What about you guys? We ain't found shit.
The Awkward High-Five podcast is what you're listening to. I had a headache when you left. We got flagged on YouTube because of this song. We didn't get flagged.
Really?
No, we didn't get flagged, but we
BVS came out of the woodwork?
I guess because you could put advertising on YouTube, right? So I put these episodes up on YouTube. That we don't push the YouTube thing. It's kind of just there. We have a few subscribers on there and stuff like that. I'll always put them up on there if anybody wants to. If YouTube is your preferred medium of listening to the show, you can go there. But yeah, so I guess you could run ads on YouTube, like those little annoying things that pop up and shit. And I went back and I was like, I was making sure that the things were running right, and there was a thing that popped up and said you cannot advertise on this because you used a song, and it said modularly Bear vs. Shark.
Are you serious?
And it said that
our first lawsuit. I knew it was gonna happen.
It's not a lawsuit, but
a month into it.
It said, because I guess they said that you have the permission to use this song, so whoever owns the rights to the song isn't saying that we can't use it, but what they're saying is that we can't make money on YouTube off of it.
Wow.
Not that our sweet 27 hits an episode on YouTube isn't making any money or anything, but I thought it was pretty funny.
So Bear vs. Shark knows we're using their song?
No, I have no idea.
That would be great.
I think
they would give us permission.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's probably some big wig at Equalvision or some shit.
Well, I think there's probably, because there's no way that there's people just out there listening to everything that pops up on YouTube waiting to hear a song. I think that there's some sort of recognition software out there. It's like that, that shit you could get on your cell phone that if you hold it up, it'll tell you what song is playing. It's got to be some derivative of that. And Shazam. And then they probably just run it, and then if something pops up and they say, "Oh, this is the song,"
no way someone heard this and they were like, "Oh, yeah, no way."
No. I mean, it's not a big deal. I just thought it was funny. Modern technology.
Seriously,
it's pretty
fucking
interesting.
Nerds.
Welcome to the Awkward High-Five podcast. My name is Devin,
and I'm Richard,
and we are your hosts for this evening and every evening, as a matter of fact. I think we're on episode 17 now.
Yep.
Oh, wow, it's fucking insane.
I missed 15.
Yeah,
so it's 16 to me.
16 for you. I'm always going to be one. We'll see how many accumulate over time, because like by the end of this, I'll probably have done. We will have been in the same room for all of them, but I will have done, let's say 2,000, and you maybe have done 1,700 or something like that at the end. We'll see. We'll keep it going. So I'm going to say this right off the top of the bat, and I'm not going to do this every episode, but here's the deal for
only if we have to, fuckers.
Number one, to everybody listening to this, thank you. We were just talking numbers before we hit record and start recording this, and we are amazed at the amount of people that are downloading this.
That's really cool.
And we're not just blowing smoke and trying to make ourselves sound bigger, because honestly, we could give a fuck about that. But here's the deal:
we're just Barry Horowitzing.
If you're listening to this and you enjoy this program and you have an Apple ID, or you feel like you've been making an Apple ID for your buds, please do us this favor. And I'm on my knees begging you, please. And I hate having to do this.
Craig Mack 1000 degrees?
Yes. No, I was thinking more of I'm down on my knees. I'm begging you. What song is that? Anyway,
a girl's name. Like Lola. I'm down on my head, but it's not Lola. Like Sharona or something.
No, that's my Sharona.
Oh yeah.
So I hate doing this, and I think this is one of the reasons that a lot of my creative pursuits have always stayed, let's call it underground, is because even when we were in a band, and even when our band was like doing well, I was never the type of person to sell the band to anybody.
I know, yeah.
I just can't do it, like if
neither of us were. We were always the ones that just got drunk and played and were like,
right.
Enjoy.
Yeah, I enjoy creating. I enjoy putting it out there for the public, and when I get feedback back, when people come up to me and say, "Hey, I listened to your band," or "Hey, I listened to your podcast and I really dig it," I fucking love that. It's awesome. But I've never been good at the networking part of the whole thing, And but with this, what we're doing here, number one, we've gotten so much great feedback, and there are a lot of people are listening to it from what the numbers tell us and all that stuff, which is great. But the main aggregator of podcasts in the United States, and I'm guessing the world, is iTunes. Something like 80% of the people that listen to podcasts listen to it through iTunes. They just know, not a lot of people still,
except our fans.
Well, yeah, right. Well, you would think that people wouldn't know, or you would think that people wouldn't know what podcasts are, and a lot of them don't. But a lot of people do know what podcasts are, but they just think it's something that you get on iTunes. Like they don't even think like it's out there. Like you get it from a website or from SoundCloud or even whatever. So what we're asking people to do, if you want to help us out, and we'd really appreciate it if you're enjoying this program, is just go on iTunes and just write us a review. You'll hear a lot, if you listen to other podcasts, you'll hear a lot of podcast people asking you to do this, and the reason why is because iTunes doesn't rate their podcasts by the amount of hits that they get. They basically rate it by the amount of reviews that they get. So for us to and we want to grow this thing, and it's not, it has nothing to do with making money or like being popular or anything like that. I think I could speak for both of us when I say that neither of us fucking care about that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We care about more the creative side of it.
We're trying to get laid over here,
and also some pussy would be nice. But we do want to grow this thing bigger. We think we have a lot to talk about, and we have a message that we want to get across, and we need more ears for that. And the only way to really do that outside of our group of people and word of mouth, which everybody out there has been doing fantastically, and we applaud you for that. It's great, and word of mouth works. It's awesome, and that'll go over time. But we do need to be seen on iTunes, and therefore we do need reviews. So if you can, just pop on iTunes, look up the Awkward Hi-Fi podcast. It's right there. You can search it. Just go on there, write a little review. You could just write fucking Science Oven or RTG, or it doesn't have to be anything. Give it however many stars you want. But that's the thing. Write a review. You can only put stars, but for some reason the reviews count more or whatever. So that's all I'm going to say. Just please do that. That's it. And you could also follow us at Awkward Hi-5 on Twitter, which is Awkward HI, the number 5 on Twitter.
Have we personally tweeted anything?
Yeah, we tweet sometimes. We don't have a lot of followers right now. I haven't really been active on that. The social media thing, I haven't been too active on. Facebook more than anything. If you want to go to our Facebook page, you could like us there. And all that'll come. I mean, we were just discussing this before we hit record that. Sorry, I have some sort of crazy, I think that thing from Aliens in my stomach. Fuck, shit.
Chemical warfare.
All of a sudden, this like burning, like acid reflux from hell came out my throat. But we were, what were we just saying?
How it's not been long at all.
It is. Tomorrow will be 3 weeks since we launched this. So we are.
Is someone listening live?
So we are still in our very, very infancy and ironing all this stuff out. So if you're listening at home, you enjoy this and you want to help us out, please do the iTunes review thing. We really, really dig it. We have merch and stuff coming soon. Hopefully soon. So that'll be another thing is if you go on there and you leave us a review, email me or hit me up on Twitter or hit us up on Twitter or hit us up on Facebook and say, hey, I left a review, and I'll make sure that you get whatever, a sticker or a t-shirt and some cool stuff from there. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And you, Richard, are came in the room hot, I would say.
Yeah.
Hot and bothered.
Mm-hmm.
And you sat down. Normally I say, what do you want to talk about? And you say, I don't give a fuck, whatever you want to talk about. But I said, Rich, what do you want to talk about? And you said ISIS.
I'm fuming, baby. I am fuming. Not about the murders in Paris. Not about, well, it sucks. But I just experienced my first personal effect on terrorism. It hit me right in the heart. and I was ready to explode. My
What
blood pressure
So
is
wait,
through the roof.
so first off, I'm just gonna guess that you're against terrorism, is what you're saying here.
Oh, I'm totally.
You're
against
making a
terrorism.
bold statement to the world and saying you're against terrorism.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
I'm
build.
against terrorism. I'm against refugees. I'm against.
Wait, you're against refugees?
I'm against the refugees.
Really?
Yes.
You don't want to live like a refugee.
I don't want to live like a refugee.
A Hollow 1, 2, 3. It's the crew they call refugees.
Right.
When you come to test the rap styling, stop the violence and just bring it on. The Fugees were trying to tell us that way back in the day.
They did not succeed.
Okay, well, because this is a hot topic right now. You are one of those people that you think that close the borders, don't let them in.
Yep, absolutely. Everyone, I'm thinking about buying a 45. If I had no felonies on my record, I definitely would. So I'm going to have to purchase one illegally.
Okay, so you're for the illegal purchase of guns and not letting.
I'm going to get a pearl handle 45, baby.
Like what was that show? Oh god damn it! What was that show from the 80s with the dude with the gun?
Yeah,
It wasn't Magnum.
Sledgehammer. Yeah, baby. You know it.
Okay.
45.
Yeah.
Magnum.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm completely the opposite of you on both of those subjects. Yeah, I'm not against guns, but I'm definitely against the oversaturation of guns. And
I used to be. Now I'm saying arm up, baby. Arm up. Protect your neck.
And I'm gonna side with my favorite peace punks of all time, Propaganda, and say fuck the border. It's ridiculous. I know it's a controversial subject, but that's what this country is.
Right. We shouldn't have to worry about it. But if people are going to make us worry about it, then, you have to worry. You have to protect yourself first. You got to protect your family. So why am I going to let people, shit on my lawn?
Dude, you are more of you right now where you live in this country, even though we do live in very close proximity to Manhattan. But you're more likely to be the victim of a domestic crime or just a random robbery or something in your hometown than any terrorist act.
I totally agree.
Here's the thing. I saw something on Facebook that really bothered me. Is somebody was trying to make a point. I think it was even like a stupid meme or something like that. Somebody was trying to make a point against the refugee angle, right? And they said, if you had a thing of gumballs, I think this is going around, so people have already heard this. They said, if you have a thing of gumballs, right? Say there's 100 gumballs in there, and I told you that, or
three of them are poisonous.
Three of them are poisonous.
I've seen that.
Would you take a handful? But then that's the response that they want to elicit, because what they're trying to say is, so you want to let 100 refugees in, 3 of them are terrorists, like how many are you going to take in or whatever? But here's the problem: people aren't fucking gumballs. You know what I mean? Like even
right, people are people that carry bombs and guns and shit.
It just doesn't. It's not that cut and dry. It's not that black and white. Like if a gumball is poisonous and you eat it, it's going to kill you. If you let somebody who might have terrorist leanings into your country, doesn't mean that they're, number one, doesn't mean that they're going to do anything. Number two, doesn't mean that they're not going to get caught before they do anything. Number three, there's so many different things that go along with it.
Yeah, but why take that chance?
Because that's what this country is built on.
Yeah, but the immigrants that came here years ago weren't coming here because they wanted to taste blood of the...
Are you kidding me?
Who?
The people who founded this country came in and killed everybody that fucking lived here. That's the way the country was made.
Right, I'm not talking about Columbus. I'm talking about the immigrants that came after America was established.
Well, so you're talking about the Irish and the Italians and people from impoverished areas that came here looking for opportunity. Yeah, that's the way it goes. If you shut that down, I know America has changed a lot, but if you, my opinion is that you can't. Just because there's these terrorist factions out there doesn't mean you stop letting people in the country. I mean, that's the whole thing of America. And I know a lot of people out there disagree with me, but
it's just scary. It's totally scary. And the reason why my blood was boiling is because I just spent 2 hours just trying to drive out of Manhattan. Just to drive out of Manhattan. I'm being redirected in all these different streets. I don't know how that's going to protect me from terrorism, taking a different route around the block, but I had to do it. And cars weren't moving. My blood pressure was rising, and that's a danger to me. I could have a stroke because of terrorism.
You're really worried about that blood pressure.
Yeah,
right?
Totally worried.
Are you on the pills yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm still eating like shit too.
Yeah, and if RTG has a stroke, then terrorism wins.
And if I do have a stroke, I hope it's on the air.
If we're sitting here one day and you just start going like narm 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 and shit,
it's happened.
and then I have to fucking give you. Oh, you're talking about at the Warped Tour?
I wasn't, but I remember that shit.
All right, I don't
think that was more of a heat stroke than a blood pressure stroke.
No, right, of course. But I'll tell the story real quick
wild.
before we get back to screaming at each other about terrorism and borders.
Am I screaming? I know.
No, it's just when me and you get together, we just yell at the top of our lungs.
In that twin language.
I'm told I'm loud. People tell me I'm loud all the time.
More of a boisterous.
We were at the Warped Tour. It was very early on. It was
like the second Warped Tour.
The second Warped Tour or something like that. We went to the first like 5 and then said fuck it. And we were there, and it was a very hot day,
so hot,
very very sweltering day, and we were waiting in line for a very long time. We were probably under the influence of a few substances.
Yeah, I remember I drank like a 40 and a half before I came there.
Right, we were a little dried out, a little dehydrated. We were waiting online for some sustenance, if you will, a little bit of food. It was halfway through the day, and I was ahead of you in line.
And I'm standing like right next to the grill on a 105-degree day.
And I got whatever, my stupid little fucking hot dog and my drink, and then I was kind of just standing there watching you select your food and drink. And you ordered a soda, and
oh yeah,
you ordered a soda, and they gave you a soda with no ice in it, and you said, "Hey, can I get some ice in the soda?" And they said, "We don't have any ice for the soda," and you went, "No ice," and had this look of shock on your face where your mouth was like wide open and you looked stunned, and I was like, "Damn, Richie really cares about ice," and then you just fell on your face, and it had nothing to do with the ice, is you just had like a heat stroke or whatever the fuck you had.
I needed that ice.
You passed out. Your last, if you would have died right then, your last words would have been no ice.
No ice?
That's what would have been on your tombstone. It's just no ice with a question mark.
That's pretty fly.
Yeah, it is pretty fly.
No ice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's going to be my new saying.
Richie, no ice, Giordana.
Yeah. RTG, no ice.
Yeah, and you just passed the fuck out, and it was the funniest goddamn
lady will
thing.
have a linguine and clam sauce and a Coke with no ice.
And I guess as a friend, I should have helped you up, but I just sat there laughing my ass off.
What I remember after blacking out was, laying on the ground and looking up at all you guys, because you guys are all huddled over me like a circle looking down, like, is he dead? Everything, before I got full vision back, everything was red. Like if you're developing film in a dark room, everything was red. And I was like, holy shit, am I in hell? And then everything came back to color. And
So you literally saw red.
Yeah, totally. So it must have been a heat stroke. It definitely was a heat stroke. What the hell? Or heat exhaustion.
Yeah, I think heat stroke is something that people throw around like migraines. Like people always say, "Oh, I have a migraine." It's like, no, you don't. You just have a really bad headache.
Mm-hmm.
Migraines are like some serious deliberate shit, and the same thing with heat strokes. I think heat strokes are very serious, but I think what happened was you were overheated,
heat exhaustion,
and you passed out.
Yeah, dehydration, something of that.
Flat on your face after being surprised about.
Was it face first?
Yeah. It was fucking funny as shit.
Shocked over the no ice.
I was like, God damn, Richie cares about ice, like, because
needed it, bro.
The look of terror and shock in your face when you said no ice. I forgot all about that.
No ISIS.
So ISIS kept you stuck in the city today.
Yeah, and I was fuming. There's so many factors, and I understand the whole "we're America, let's keep it free," but this group of people, and I know it's not every single one of them, is a terrorist, because
it's not even a close amount of them.
I know, but if I read the Bible and I was a full believer in the Bible, and the Bible told me whoever doesn't read the Bible is gonna, taste my boot in a milder term, I just don't get how I wouldn't be considered a threat.
But if
I'm going to go around stomping necks over people not reading the Bible.
But that's what they did. I mean, the holy wars and all that stuff. There's no religion in this
centuries ago, when we were not as intelligent as we are now.
No, I get it. But there's always going to be bloodshed on the account of religion. It's always going to happen. And Christianity and Catholicism might now be a little bit more progressive, but at least in the United States, there's definitely parts of the world where it isn't. And no one has been killed more in the name of the Lord than under Catholicism. It's just, that's the Romans and all that stuff. That's what that whole fucking thing was. And it sucks.
1,000 years ago.
Right. And I get that point. But don't get me wrong. Like the terrorism thing needs to be stamped out. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
But you know what I was thinking? I don't know if this is going to make any sense. This is, of course, going inside the mind of RTG. But I was thinking this today. And if this makes sense, let me know. I was thinking, okay, Islam, Muslims, they've been around forever. Why are they choosing today to hate Americans? Why are they choosing the present time to start a war? Why wasn't this war started, a long time ago? Why didn't they, rush into America in the 50s or the 60s?
So you're saying present day as in the past 15 years
right.
or so. Okay.
So what I was thinking
Post
was
9/11.
maybe the problem here is they're being more subjected to American culture by ways of media. Maybe because they have, resources in their country where they could observe our way of life and see, in some ways how much of a slob some Americans could be. Maybe that is what's making them reopen the Quran and want to slice necks, because they weren't coming over here in the 40s and the 50s.
Well, okay, but if we're talking about terrorist factions now, right? So we're talking about ISIS and then the people that it took those people hostage in Mali today. I forget the name of that terrorist group. It's different than ISIS.
I think that was Al Qaeda.
No, it's another. I forget the name, but and they're kind of like in the same thing, but it's not ISIS or whatever. But the thing is that ISIS is also killing people in their own. It's not just against America. It's pretty much against the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear that.
I mean, obviously, the France attacks just happened.
But if they're following this book that goes back so far, why is it so heightened today? Is it because?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm sure technology technology has a lot to do with it.
I'm thinking it does.
I was stunned because they had that whole thing where that hacker group Anonymous put out this thing saying that we're going to attack ISIS, and everyone's like, "How are you going to attack ISIS?" And then they said that they shut down 5,500 of their Twitter accounts, and I was like, how do they even they live in caves? How do they even have Twitter? That kind of thing.
They tweet.
There's always going to be, no matter where you are, there's always going to be radical, people that believe in something and are willing to kill or be killed for that. And it's a group mentality and that kind of thing. And this is the biggest thing that the world is facing right now, and it sucks. But again, it's not going. My point is that's not reason to shut out people. People are people,
right? But our tolerance and our fear of offending people, all of that is just so ridiculous, and everyone knows what I mean because everyone stands behind that. If you think back to the 30s and 40s when the enemy was the Nazis, okay? Mm-hmm. Were we afraid of
the good old days?
Were we afraid of offending the Nazis?
No.
Were we like, oh, let's be touchy about what we say about Nazis because Nazis are people too? And
I totally agree with that. The sensitivity of our nation and the world in general is ridiculous. But here's another one of those things. I think it's a group mentality because if you talk to anybody, to a person, like an individual person, and you say, do you think that everyone's too sensitive and they get offended too easily? Everyone says yes. So, but then everyone gets sensitive and offended too easy. So it becomes, again, this group mentality. It's like you get a couple people saying like, well, I'm offended. And then people just start jumping on a pile like, yeah, I'm offended too. I'm offended too. And it's the same thing with the terrorist thing is like, if you talk to anybody that's been, we have a few friends that were over in the Middle East during that whole deal. Mm-hmm. And if you talk to anybody of them, they say that the locals, they're all great. Most people in those countries are happy that the army, our military is there because they, just like us, most people don't want to wake up in the morning and go bomb a fucking church or go bomb a fucking bus or even talk about that. Most people want to wake up and get through their fucking shitty day at their stupid fucking data entry job so they could come home, jerk off, eat popcorn, and go to sleep.
You want to wake up. You want to eat breakfast. You want to kiss someone goodbye and go to work.
Right. And that goes for that is unifucking-versal. Whether you live in a grass hut and have to shit in a hole, or you live in the most expensive fucking penthouse at the top of Manhattan, that human thing is universal. So you can't shut people out for that.
I know, but why is it our responsibility to just kiss everyone's ass? Like, almost in a way, I was thinking about this also. What the way this country makes ourselves look like is almost like the person that just wants, like a people pleaser, the person that wants to be nice to everybody just to be the person that's nice to everybody. Like the guy who says that he'll hang out with 5 different buddies when he's really just gonna go hang out with one person or just sit home with his girl, but he'll make plans with everybody
because he doesn't want to say no.
Because he doesn't want to say no. Because he
Right.
wants to be a people pleaser.
Right.
Like that's almost like the impression that I get from
No,
America.
that's a good analogy, and it is true, and there is a lot of that, and I do get caught up in that when I see some of the funds that we send to other countries when we have cities like Detroit, or we have people in like $300,000 of student loan debt who can't find jobs here and all that stuff going on. I do get that. I do get a little bit of that kind of nationalist feeling from that, where I'm like, well, let's put a little bit more money into our own home before we start throwing it out to the rest of the world.
Right.
But America has set themselves up as the greatest country in the world back in the day. And you know, you can't, I don't think you could turn a ship that quickly. You know, like it's not a matter.
You gotta slow it down though.
It's not a matter. There's so many moving parts. You can't just yank it back. You can't just throw up a fucking wall between Texas and Mexico and then be like, all right, sweet, we're done. You know, it doesn't work that way.
But there's no reason to say we're such nice people. Let's take in all these refugees. Who cares if maybe one out of every 1,000 is going to kill one person? But that's still one person that's going to fucking die.
I get it.
You don't need to do that. There's no need. Do you see fucking Amsterdam taking in Syrian refugees? No, because they're
well,
good.
they also don't have any place to fucking put them. They're tiny.
I know, but it's just we're just too much of a people pleaser. Like, just,
I get it, but
it makes me sick.
I know, and a lot of people, and I understand where and I understand where you're coming from. I do. Believe me, it's to me, it's not black and white. You know,
it isn't, but this is just my personal.
No, right. And what I'm trying to say is I'm playing devil's advocate, and I'm leaning on the other side because I do naturally lean more towards that way. But it's a very complicated issue. You know, like, yes, you do want to. We do have an open door policy, and that's what this country has been built upon. But you also don't want to neglect the people that grew up in this country. And I get that. You know, like they're taking our jobs. That whole fucking thing. Mm-hmm. You know, like there is some truth to that. I understand that. Mm-hmm. You know, but that's that we set that shit up. That's what we did from day one. We said this is the type of country we are. Right, this is what's going to make our country great.
It's not something we can't change. Why do we have to maintain that image?
Right.
We don't have to.
Right.
We could change it.
Well,
no one would give a shit. It's not. You know, what are we going to do? Look bad to Tunisia? No one gives a shit.
Well, I think it's because right. But I mean, it would. The way that we're separated right now talking about this, that's the way that our country is separated. So we're not going to get anything done if people are just yelling about it all the time. And I don't know, maybe if we did shut down the borders, maybe that would make America better and a safer. But
I'm talking strictly safety.
Okay. But is safety the end all of everything?
No, it's not. But it's something that I think people care about a lot, the safety of their families.
Of course.
I mean, I don't
too much
have,
so.
I don't have family, but I'm afraid for other people's
You
families.
got family right here, brother. You got family
Thank
right
you,
here.
Dev dog.
What's up, Dev dog?
But seriously, I'm afraid for other people's families.
No, I get it. But safety here. Okay, so I have this thing with safety. I think that we give up too much of our rights for safety. No one is ever safe. You're never safe. Doesn't matter. Right?
I get that.
You could. Something could happen at any second of the day. You could lose a loved one at any second of the day. You could die at any second of the day. And a million.
Why add risk?
Right. But what I'm talking about is the guys. People are so care about being safe that they give up their personal freedoms. You know, see what I'm saying?
I get that.
If you walk down the street...
That's part of terrorism.
Right. And that's what it is. If you walk down the street in Manhattan, no matter where you go now, you're on fucking video camera, no matter what.
Right.
That's an invasion of privacy.
Patriot Act.
That people are willing to submit to because that makes them feel safer. Guess what? You're not safe or just because you're on fucking video camera. Like someone
That's there to arrest you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That like we're letting the government... And I don't want to get too far into this thing because I could rant about the government for a long time.
Instead of arresting a terrorist, you're arresting John for purchasing chronic on the corner of 42nd and 7th.
Although now you could hold up to like a fucking OZ of chronic in New York. There's that picture of that politician
awesome.
like flipping down a fucking forefinger or even more. Anyway, so I don't know. That has always bothered me. I don't want to get too crazy into the whole government thing, but
yeah, I'm not a political talker.
We're basically giving away our freedom for the guise of safety. And guess what? It's just like the Great Thrice album. It's a fucking illusion. Safety is always illusion.
I agree.
But the moms, and rightfully so, the mothers out there and people like that who want to keep their children safe and want to keep their family safe. And I get it. I totally get that. There's nothing worse, a worse feeling in the world than thinking that somebody you love might not be safe. However, there's got to be some sort of equilibrium from what you're willing to give up towards safety. You know, I personally think that the world was a better place back in the 70s, let's say, or the 60s, or even the 50s, when it was a more dangerous time, I would believe, like as far as just, you know, things being able to happen and not and people not get caught or whatever that may be.
I think that was the coolest thing about that.
But right, but people had so much more freedom back then, and we don't even recognize it. And then even the people in the generations underneath us and underneath that, they're just automatically like for instance, like our generation teeters on the like, let's say the whole social media thing, where like I know I still am like, if you go on my Facebook, you're not going to see who I'm dating. Well, you might see who I'm dating, but you're not going to see like my phone number or where I live, or right. I'm not going to ever check into where I am, you know, like oh, I'm here or anything like that, because I come from an era. We come from an era where, you know, you're still kind of private about things, but young kids in their 20s now, and then especially kids that are like in like young now that are growing up, that's just the way of the world. So they're just putting everything, like you're gonna know where they are at all times, you know, what's, you know, like that kind of shit. So it's like with every generation, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make, is we're giving up more, and we're giving up more of ourselves, and we're giving up more of ourselves, and there has to be a point where that's not, you know, that's not healthy.
No, I agree. It's scary in a way. It's scary.
But well, I'm sorry that you. I'm trying to tie this bit back together.
It really did, man. I'm still cooling down. That's why I'm drinking this agua.
So ISIS was this close to taking down the Awkward High Five podcast.
Yep, it made me a little tardy. Fucking ISIS.
I'm talking about if you had a stroke and then and then we couldn't continue to, or maybe it would be fun if you did have a stroke and then we did the show anyway, and I'd be like, welcome to the Awkward High Five podcast. I'm Devin.
I would pull it together and I'd make it. I'd be here.
You would speak through do one of those straw things?
Yeah. One of those voice box things or whatever.
Wait, that's not a stroke. That's fucking esophagus cancer or whatever.
Oh, laryngectomy? Yeah, but what if I had such a crazy stroke that I fell, hit my throat on something, got cut, had to get one, still came in, used the box, everything was cool.
That would be awesome.
I know. I would troop it through.
I'll tell you what, talking about throats, man, this fucking acid reflux I got going on is killing me.
I know you don't like milk, but milk is the cure for that, my man. Make a nice glass of chocolato milk.
So can I ask you about your situation that you talked about, your decree of a Christmas deadline? How are you doing on that?
I'm doing pretty well, actually.
Yeah. I'm asking because I think that the audience wants to know.
I'm doing pretty well. I don't want to get too specific. I feel like, you know, I do talk, you know, a lot about my private self on this podcast, which we agreed in the beginning was going to be the thing,
right?
You know, but a lot of people will consider it to be, you know, not something that a podcast or radio personality would talk about on the air. That's more of something that you keep to yourself.
Well, that's a great thing, is we're not radio personalities,
right? You know,
we're podcasters. We can do whatever we want,
right? And I would care more, like if I had a mother that was alive, or a family that was alive, maybe I wouldn't be talking like this. But I have two brothers. That's my entire blood family that's alive.
Right.
And
they know.
They know.
You're not hiding anything.
Right. We're all men. And if it's going to cause a problem, then, you know, grow up, because I'm going to talk about it. And
Are you? I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but are you saying this because you've heard things from people saying you shouldn't say that on?
No, I haven't. I haven't heard that, but I know people are thinking it.
Well, look, let me tell you, and I think I can speak for everybody when you say this, is that when you're a drug addict, the people that know, there's two people listening. There's two sections of people listening to this podcast right now. There's people that know you, and there's people who don't know you. And everybody that knows you knows what you're going through,
right?
So you're it's not like you're like somebody. It's not like somebody that we went to high school with, or somebody we hung out with last weekend is listening to this and going, "Oh my God, Richie's struggling with this."
Well, you know, there's people that know me that didn't know until this.
Okay, all right. Well,
not anyone that's, you know, necessarily close to me. but people that have known me.
Right.
You know, maybe not someone that I've seen in a while, but someone that I have known throughout my life.
Right.
And this could be news to them.
Okay, I get that.
I have received a few messages.
Okay.
Concern.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. I think, and you are totally, even though we did both make a pact to be as open and honest on this as possible, but you are welcome. It is your life. This is just a podcast. You are welcome to say or hold back whatever information you want to say or hold back at any time.
There's no shame in my game, in case you didn't realize that over the past 30 years, Dev. There's not a minuscule grain of shame.
But my point is that you talking about this, and same thing with me talking about my problems, it can only help this situation.
I totally agree.
Okay, so go ahead.
I feel like it is already. But not to get too graphic, but I'm just going to say that let's say
like butt stuff?
Butt stuff. I don't want to talk about that. But let's say in the past week I've eaten as many sandwiches as I would have eaten in one day in the past.
Okay.
So I've eaten a day's worth of past sandwiches in this past week. I've spread out a day's worth of sandwiches in 1 week this week.
So normally what you would consume sandwich-wise in a day, you've consumed in a week.
Yes.
Now, and that is more, and I'm going to guess that the sandwiches that you're eating isn't so much for you to be stuffed and feeling really good and stuffed. It's more just to keep yourself going.
It's a maintenance sandwich.
It's if you don't eat that sandwich, you kind of feel a little sick, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're slowly weaning.
I don't want to starve.
You're slowly weaning yourself off of sandwiches. But a person in your situation can't just stop eating sandwiches because that would be very bad.
Right.
You still need a certain intake of sandwiches until eventually you could switch to salads.
You could start slicing the lunch meat thinner.
Right.
Move to wheat bread.
No more mayonnaise. Maybe
No
just
more
oil
mayo.
and vinegar. Right.
Start getting more healthy sandwich
Okay.
wise.
Well, that's good, and I could say from sitting across the table from you that you've definitely, this podcast and last podcast that we did from your apartment, and even the one with Dean when my brother was here, you've definitely been brighter eyed and more bushy tailed and
more spry.
And I could see a change in you, and I hope that you continue with it, and I know the audience hopes you continue with it. So
it
that's
feels
why
better. It feels a lot better. Sometimes it has its ups and downs, to tell you the truth. But that's going to be like that for the rest of my life. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and I don't, and I don't want to harp on it for too long, but it's definitely something that it's definitely a thread throughout this podcast that we're going to have to keep addressing.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
And I would love for you to one day walk in here and be like, that's that, you know what I mean? Let's move on.
Well, that's the goal.
Right,
That's
exactly.
The goal.
So we just have to keep touching on it. I could give a little update from my personal situation. So the last podcast that we had, I kind of, and I apologize for anyone who didn't find that interesting. I didn't even actually
You
find it
ate
interesting.
the stuffed mushrooms.
No, no, I ate those stuffed mushrooms for way too long. No, but I was talking about my situation and I was kind of venting and how it's annoying that my girlfriend stick around and everything like that. And I was talking about my ex-girlfriend Carla and how, and all this stuff, if you listen to it. And so last night I'm hanging around doing some work and stuff, and I get a text message from Carla.
Okay.
And Carla says,
Is Carla a listener?
What?
Is she a listener of the show?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Carla says, I've been listening to the podcast.
Uh-oh.
And I'm not going to say exactly what she said because, I'm not trying to whatever. But it was number one, I was stunned that she would listen to this thing because I'm going to have to say that if I had a girlfriend or an ex-fiance or anything like that, like if Carla had her own podcast, I wouldn't be listening to that shit because it might as well just be called Bad Shit About Devin, the fucking podcast. You know what I mean?
That unsavory bastard.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to I'll turn it on and they'll be like, that small dick bastard. Always never filling the Brita up, that son of a bitch. But she listened, and Carla, if you're listening to this episode, thank you for your listenership. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Carla.
But here's what I found was interesting is she texted me and she said, yeah, I listened to the podcast and I'm not going to lie. It hurts a little bit, but I understand that, we went through this and you're going to vent about it and everything. And then she said, I've been thinking about the whole party thing, and I don't think it makes any sense that I go to these things. So I'm not going to go to these things.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I stared at my phone and I didn't know it was such like a mature, like awesome fucking response from a girl that let me go on record and say that I've never gotten from any ex ever.
I'm in shock right now.
Yeah.
I'm in total shock.
So I didn't know what to say. So I just said, okay. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
Was it a prank text? Was it really
I have
Carla?
no idea. It was Carla. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. And then
I'm just going to start saying shit on this podcast. Maybe it'll come true.
That's exactly what I thought to myself. I was like, is this a magic podcast? Like, can I just say things that I want to happen and then they happen? Because that seemed like the most unfeasible thing in the world, Like,
man, I love getting laid by 80 chicks at once.
I one of my deep desires in this world is to have a few $1 million. And I just feel like I don't understand why I don't have a few $1 million. Yeah, it was pretty nuts, and I'd like to thank Carla for being so mature about that.
That is
situation.
really cool, Carla. It is really cool.
Now we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go to this Christmas party and she'll be there all fucked up and be like psych, and then make my life a living hell or whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it was very funny to the point where and
Open up a new can of shrooms.
I'm the. She's just standing there with a fresh plate of stuffed mushrooms. Like, go ahead, say it, motherfucker. Go ahead, say it. Yeah, I don't know. I was stunned. I just wanted to say that.
No, I'm stunned still.
Yeah.
Am I making more of a stunned face than the no ice face?
No. There's no.
I felt like
there's
I was.
It's more stunned face. But I'm praying that you pass out during this at one point. I mean, I know you will pass out during this podcast at one point, but I'm just hoping that it happens sooner than later.
I can't believe it didn't happen 2 weeks ago. Shit.
I'm going to go take a since we were spending so much time locked in a room with each other with nobody else around, I'm going to go take a CPR class or something. Just so I could say, because I don't want you to die. I just want it to be really funny when you hit the floor.
Stock up on adrenaline shots.
That would be like in Pulp Fiction. That would be the scariest fucking thing on the face of the planet.
A marker, a felt fucking pen.
Prank caller. That's the best part of the movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
I don't know you.
Prank caller. Who's calling me? Prank caller. I love that dude.
Are you calling me from a cellular phone?
What's that dude's
Eric
name?
Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz.
The
man.
Mask.
Yeah, the mask. Yeah, he is the best.
Yeah, he's a funny cat.
You think that's the best Quentin Tarantino movie? He's coming out with a new one now.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the
Still?
best one. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I go back and forth between, believe it or not, I go back forth between Pulp Fiction and now I know you think I'm going to say Reservoir Dogs. Because,
yeah, that's the only other one.
Because everybody else says Reservoir Dogs. But the Inglourious Bastards, yeah. I watched that movie fucking so many times, and it's so long, and there's subtitles all over it and everything. But that movie is so fucking good. The more you watch it,
it's good. But I
don't know if it's
Pulp
yeah,
Fiction,
right.
Man.
I remember. Quentin Tarantino. I shouldn't say he's my favorite director because I really love P.T. Anderson. I really love the Coen Brothers. But he's up there. And especially our age group,
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction came out, 93?
Yeah, 94.
We're like 13 years old.
Yeah, 13,
14 years
14,
old.
yep.
And I remember when we were kids, we would go to the movies. Sorry, this acid reflux again. We would go to the local movie theater, the multiplex.
The Middletown one, right?
No, Hazlitt.
Oh, Hazlitt.
Because we were young suburban kids with nothing to do, so we would like.
Oh, you mean when we would just like loiter?
We would loiter. Yeah. We wouldn't go to see a movie.
Oh, everyone's done it.
We would go to the movies. We would hang outside the movies. We'd meet up with girls and flirt with girls.
Yeah.
Maybe smoke a joint or sneak a fucking bottle or whatever and hang out.
Yep.
So we were doing that one night, and it was around the time that Pulp Fiction had just come out, and we're young. I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew about Reservoir Dogs. I would have been 11 years old when Reservoir Dogs came out. I didn't know about that. The first movie I ever heard of Quentin Tarantino was Pulp Fiction. And we were outside of the theater, and a car drove, a movie let out. Everyone went into the thing, and a car drove by. And when the car drove by, there was this like older woman, like middle-aged woman hanging out of the thing, screaming at everybody in front of the movies, "Don't go see Pulp Fiction. It's the most grotesque piece of shit movie I've ever seen in my life." Yeah. And I remember at that moment thinking to myself, like, gotta go see Pulp Fiction. Like, I didn't know what it was or anything,
crazy.
But just the fact that this woman was so like had such a virile fucking response to this movie, like it sickened her so much.
That is weird.
And then I went and saw it when I got in to see it. And I remember thinking, like, okay, this is just going to be like a gore fest. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like a horror movie, like Pulp
Maybe
Fiction.
she was referring to the Gimp.
Well, anything, But then I saw it and I was like, what the fuck? This is an amazing movie.
Seriously. Then maybe it was around 93 when Pulp Fiction came out. Because I think maybe we cut our movie loiterings out, once we hit high school. I think that was more of a middle school thing that middle school kids did. So that would end in 93 for us.
We hung out around and I guess any kid in the suburbs does that. You just hang out around places around. You know,
remember when we turned Sycamore into like a
so Sycamore
debacle, as I always
Sycamore
say?
was a school in our area. That was it a middle school or a grade school?
It's changed, but I think at the time it was an elementary school.
Yeah, right. And at night we would all go there and get fucked up. And
like
everything
50,
like that.
50, 60 kids. And every time the cops rolled up, we all had next basketball game. They'd be like a kid passed out in the sand in his own puke, drunk off his ass. Cop would be like, "What's up with him?" "Oh, he's got next game."
Pulp Fiction came out September 10th, 1994.
Okay.
Or 1990 quad.
So that would be the beginning of freshman year for us.
The beginning of freshman year, yes. We were just young freshmen in a Quentin Tarantino-less world. And then he came flowing into our lives and gave us such joy since then.
That's the night everything changed.
That is the night everything changed. One of the best nights, well, I shouldn't say the best nights ever because... but one of the cooler days of my life was we went to see Kill Bill 1 had just come out, and the Mars Volta album Deloused in the Comatorium had just came out.
I was there for that.
And we went to the movies.
That was a goodie.
And saw, in New Jersey, we went to the movies and saw Kill Bill 1. Then we got in our car and we drove to the Electric Factory in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and saw the Mars Volta pretty much play Deloused in the Comatorium from front to back.
Yep, not something you want to see when you're a drummer going into the studio the next day, because I was thinking about quitting.
Where are we going in the studio the next day?
The next day we were going to start recording, so I was all like nervous about the drums because I was going in to record my drums, and what do I see? John Theodore blowing my tits off, making me look like the worst drummer that's ever existed.
Yeah, that guy was
unbelievable.
Insane drummer. I wanted to say about hanging out. So we used to hang out around the movie theater, and then we would hang out around the local Wawa/Taco Bell area.
Yeah,
which is where all the skaters wanted to hang when we were children. But we would also hang out around the McDonald's. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And do you remember what happened at that McDonald's?
I remember an incident. If it's the same incident you're referring to.
About that car?
Yep.
Yeah. I've totally forgot about that until we started talking about that right now.
Really? You forgot about that?
Well, it's not that I forgot about it. It's just something I haven't thought about in a long time. So we were young punk rockers, and we hung with a subversive crew of people, and we were all hanging out. I think it might have even been after a show. Was it after a show?
Probably
we probably played like a local VFW.
Everyone was
basement.
in their finest bondage.
Everybody was, all the spikes were
charged
flying.
to the fullest.
Yeah. And there was probably a group of about 20 of us, and a lot of skater kids, riffraff, if you will. And we were hanging out at the McDonald's, enjoying a few 99-cent cheeseburgers just in the parking lot, just acting like assholes. And a group of kids from our high school were there, and I guess they were getting shit. They were probably like jocks, which is just stupid now that I think back of it. But it was in high school, especially younger. It was
and these particular ones ended up being really nice kids that we just
they're all nice.
No,
you know what I mean? There
was a few assholes, of course.
Yeah, of course, but there was a few fucking punks that were assholes.
Yeah.
So they got in there was like 4 of them, and they got in their car and they backed up and they hit me. You know what? Right?
Yeah.
So I was dating this little firecracker of a fucking broad back then, and she was like ready to go off at any moment. And so I was, I'm a fucking pacifist. I could tell you the amount of fights I've gotten in my on one hand. It's not. And I was just minding my own business, moseying across the parking lot, and I guess they were kind of getting some shit. People were starting to kind of shake the car and stuff, so they're getting a little nervous. So they kicked it in reverse and tried to hightail it out there. And in their steed, they hit me. They hit me in my leg, and they didn't break my leg or anything, but I did get hit by a car.
Yeah.
You know? And I
remember you went down.
I went down.
Yeah.
And then my girlfriend at the time, she was like, what the fuck? So she ran over to the car and started pounding on the windows, and then that was it. Then it turned into like. One of the craziest things I've ever seen where there was 20 to 25 kids engulfed this car.
Right. My best. I'm sorry.
Please.
But my best description to add some color to this scene is it looked like something from the movie Gremlins.
Just like a bunch of gremlins on top of something.
On top of a car,
like shaking it back and forth.
Yeah, all the keyboard girls. I think there was a few on top of the very top of the car, banging on it. Skateboards going through. You can continue, but it just looked like something Gremlin-esque.
Yeah, so as this poor group of kids were now trying to drive out around the building and then out the exit to get back on the highway.
To no avail.
They had this group of people, and I didn't do anything because number one, I had just got hit by a car and I was on the ground, and then number two, I'm not the type of person to really do that anyway. But I sat there and watched as they destroyed this car. I mean,
skateboards through the windows. I remember the driver's face just shocked, like, I can't believe this is happening to me right now.
Yeah, destroyed
all his windows,
dented in the
smashed
whole
out.
car, destroyed all the windows where people were getting punched through the window. It
Yeah.
was like a movie.
It was Gremlins. Yeah. It was a scene from Gremlins. I was like, holy shit, Spielberg.
Yeah, it was such a gang mentality, like crazy fucking thing, and it was all just because I got hit by a car, and I was cool. I don't think I even went to the doctor. I was like, all right. Yeah. But yeah, this made me remember that.
That was a crazy scene. I'll never forget that. Someone posted that on Facebook at one point. Someone was like, "Oh, I remember an incident at McDonald's where someone's car got all fucked up," and I was like, "They still remember it."
Really?
The old Gremlins.
Yeah, and if I'm thinking correctly of who the owner of the car was, he's a really like nice guy.
Really nice guy. Yeah. Really nice guy.
Yeah. And he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and happened to hit the wrong dab.
Yeah. That's right, baby.
And then we went and saw Pulp Fiction and everything was cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, you know, we're coming to the end of the show now. I'm sorry that the ISIS held you up. I'm glad you didn't have a stroke.
It was close, Dev. It was close, man. When I got redirected from the Holland Tunnel and realized I had to go 5 blocks out and go around and it was not moving, the heart was pounding, man. I wish I had some blood pressure pills.
Why are you driving in the city to begin with?
We had to take care of some business.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. Sandwiches?
No.
Oh.
No.
Because they have really good. I heard they have really good sandwiches in the city.
I got a great sandwich maker. I don't got to go that far for sandwiches, baby.
Because sandwiches are abundant in the city.
Yeah. Oh no, I got a sandwich maker, paninis, whatever you need.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing.
Oh yeah, I don't got to go far.
I'm glad you're not eating as many sandwiches as you were.
No, not at all.
Especially at like 3 episodes, you were full on sandwiches that episode.
Well, that wasn't so much sandwiches. That was more of, let's say, French fries.
Why did I?
Because you know what I mean.
No, it's because your stupid face that you make when you do that shit. You like look deep in my soul and then fucking.
I know. Remember?
French fries. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna say the whole iTunes review thing again. Please do that for us.
Yeah.
It's pretty important if we want to grow this. And I think I guess we'll just end this show by saying this is like. I think we both see this show as not only do we want people to listen and laugh and be entertained, but we also kind of want to grow like maybe
we want to do this for a while.
And we also want to grow like kind of like a community out of it. You know, like, and one of the reasons why it's good for you to talk about you and your sandwich consumption and for me to talk about my downfalls in life and all of those things. Which, by the way, I need a fucking job.
Me too.
If there's anybody out there that's listening and wants to help me out and get me some employment, so I could continue to spend money on this venture and do all that stuff. Business. Yeah, right. But talking about all of that shit is so that like we want everybody out there that we want the freaks and the geeks and the fucking and the drug addicts and the fucking the gays and the lesbians and the transsexuals and the
lingering girlfriends
and the ex and the Carlas of the world and everybody out there. We love all of you. And I think there's well, I was talking about this with the podcast today is that, you know, like you brought up before, like how open is open, like how open do you want to be? But I think the more open you are, because everybody goes through these things. Mm-hmm. Everybody has these worries and concerns and stresses in life, and whether you decide to tell the public about it or not, that's totally your business. But I think more than not, most people are discarded about it because they feel like it's something that you don't want to talk about. Mm-hmm. And I want this to be an area. I want this podcast and the whole AHI5 thing to be a place where people can feel comfortable to come to. You know, we don't have a physical space, but what I'm saying is like as far as getting in touch with us or spreading the word, or if you have a story that you want to call in and talk about.
Yeah.
I guess I could give out the phone number again.
Yeah, do it.
That kind of thing. That's what we want this to be. So the bigger, the more that we spread the word on this, and the more we get out there, the more people could listen, the bigger community we could build, the better shows we could do. We could start getting interviews with people, interesting people.
Have some parties. We'll host some parties.
Yeah, we could throw some show. We could do some shows. Like rent out a place and do a show. Have a couple bands play, a couple comedians, and we could do our podcast. The sky's the limit as far as that happens, and we definitely want to do that, and we definitely want to do that with all of you guys. At home listening, so that's it. And we're never gonna ask much from you, And like I said, once we get the merch and shit, we'll give you the stickers and the shirts and whatever you want. We'll give you the shirts off of our back. That's the type of dudes that we are. And again, I never want to sit there and like ask people to do shit, but I'm going to bring that up every once in a while.
Review.
Just put the review on. It'll help it out. And if you ever do want to call us, it's 607-319 AHI5, which is AHI5, the number 5, or 607-319-2445. And it's the email address is awkwardhigh5podcast@gmail.com. And again, you can follow us on Twitter at awkwardhi, the number 5 at Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere you look. You'll see that stupid logo with the hand.
Talk to it.
And so that's my whole thing with that. I just worry. I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm like doing anything creative for the like betterment of myself. You know what I mean? Like listen to my podcast. Let's make it big so I can make money or something like that.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why
I have no doubt that people aren't thinking that.
No, I know, but that's why I'm always very trepidatious about asking people. Like I said, trying to sell my creative products. You know, like my thing is I make it. If you listen to it, that's great. I'm never going to ask anything of you. But to make this work, I'm going to have to ask a little bit of people. So leave the review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. Both of those things could definitely help. And yeah.
And on that note, it comes in on a sweet bass drop.
I know that it annoys you that we use this song in this show, but it's never fucking changing. The beginning might change. We might run out of movie quotes. We might get sick of Moduli. But this song
might get sued by BVS.
This song is never leaving.
That's funny, man. I do hit a wrong note on the piano at some point, but it fits. You ever notice that?
I've never noticed
when the
it.
second verse comes in.
Oh, I don't want to know it because then I'm going to hear it.
But it's a good error.
Is it coming up?
When the second verse starts.
Right here?
Yeah, my pinky slipped. It's not there. It's somewhere else.
Ah, okay.
Oh, it's after the first. It's after the bridge.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hear it next time.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Awkward High-Five podcast.
Good day today.
What?
I had a good time today.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Besides the whole you wanting to take down ISIS because of
because of traffic.
Yeah. I'm happy with how happy you are, as I should say.
Good.
How sandwich free you are today.
Yep.
Anyway, Awkward High Five. We will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more pain, less wanna smoke you up. Inhale my best and I'm out of love. With love, with breath, wanna smoke you up. Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more pain, less wanna smoke you up. Inhale my best.
Thanks for listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. For more episodes, visit awkwardhigh5.com.